Hello there, hello there, hello there. It is your girl, Sean LeRae, and we're back with Boss Talk. That's bold, one of a kind, sensational superstars, and that's you. So, how are you guys doing out there? How's your Thanksgiving Eve going? So, I know that you're probably busy cooking and all that kind of stuff, but take me in the kitchen and just, tune in because tonight's show is going to be fantastic. I am really excited about it. But I want to talk about a couple other things before we get started. So, remember, I told you that I was doing this whole health and wellness thing as a gift to myself first. And I want to share that gift because I have really started to recognize more and more the importance of holistic health. And I'm a holistic practitioner for many years now, but I'm taking it to the next level. So I want my insides to be healthy and vibrant, just like the outside. So I would love. Hey, Fred. Fred's cooking right now. Right on, bro. So I would love to tell y'all about it. It's a fantastic product. We have 4 different lines. So we have a skincare line, we have a fitness line, we have a health and beauty line, and we also have a clean living line, which is stuff for your household so that you can stop using those toxic products. So we use it's all natural and plant-based and fantastic. So keep following me because I'm going to be talking more and more about it. Keep watching me because you will be seeing less and less of me as I am the incredible shrinking Sean LeRae. So, yes. Oh, who's out there? Hey, what's up, Tasha? I saw you this morning, girl, looking good. It was exciting to hear about your new venture. And Fred, what y'all cooking over there? What y'all got cooking up? What time we eating? Because I have a late dinner. It's not till 5. I have to drive out about 3, so I could come over for like a brunch. So listen. All right, let's get into it. My guest tonight is a dear friend, colleague, and just an amazing human on the planet. Her name is Tracy Terrace, and she is a licensed marriage and family therapist like me. She is president and owner of Healing the Mind and Spirit, Inc., where she leads a team of counselors. Her group practice is located in Santa Clarita, California, where psychotherapy services are provided in the form of couples, family, individual, adolescent, and child therapy, as well as coaching services that cover a variety of topics from creative blocks, nutritional problems, and women's issues. Tracy is the author of her new book that just launched, Many Voices, One Truth, a work that discusses choices in belief. In the book, Tracy discusses the problem of negative thoughts, where they originate, and how to differentiate between the thoughts that invade your mind. Tracy teaches the reader how to still and calm not only their minds, but their central nervous system using time-honored prayer and meditative techniques. Tracy's service to the Santa Clarita Valley also includes working as a contract therapist for the College of the Canyons, better known as COC. She works with her Student Health and Wellness Center. She's a part of a team of therapists who provide therapy to the students there at COC. Tracy holds a master's degree in clinical psychology with an emphasis in marriage family therapy from Azusa Pacific University. She also holds a bachelor's degree in journalism with an emphasis on broadcasting from California Polytechnic State University. Tracy completed her service as president for the Santa Clarita Valley, California Association of Marriage Family Therapists, also known as CAMFT, for the Santa Clarita chapter, as well as her role in serving as past president for the organization. She has contributed to the Signal newspaper, as well as written workshops that she has taught for the city of Santa Clarita, her private practice, and for COC. So without another word from me, please welcome to Boss Talk, my friend, Tracy Terrace.
Hey. Hi, Sean LeRae. Thanks for having me on tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited.
You're
This is a
welcome. Me
long
too.
time coming. Yes,
We've talked about this
especially.
for a minute.
Say again.
We've talked
What'd you
about
say?
this for a minute.
Yes, we have. Now, especially, it's especially special, if that can be a thing, for
Mhm.
me, because I am a licensed marriage family therapist, and I never knew that such a thing existed until I talked to you. Did you know that?
Mm-mm. You might have told me that and I forgot about it, but yeah.
So, I was at your house, and at the time I was doing new skin, and I came over and demonstrated that product, that machine on
Mhm.
you. Thank you for support. You bought one. And when I was doing the demonstration, I was like, Lucy, what do you do for a living? And you said, I'm a licensed marriage family therapist. I was like, that's a thing? And I planted it. I planted it in my head. And then I, got accosted by the University of Phoenix. And so I ended up enrolling in a program when I just went to talk. You know how that goes.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I am grateful to you for that.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. I'm glad to have spoken into your life because so many people are benefiting from your helping them, not just in this program, but as a therapist as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So, who's out there? I want to introduce you to some regulars. So, you know Fred Milner,
Hi,
I'm
Fred.
pretty sure.
I do. I know Fred and Kim. Yeah.
Latasha is an LPC out of Atlanta, Georgia. Connie, hey girl, nice to see you. Connie is someone who was with me, did the journey of Andy Enrique's Master Storyteller Academy with me. You'll appreciate this, Tracy. Rhonda is my soror who pledged me, one of the ladies who pledged me at Ohio University that many years ago. And Fred is cooking turkey wings, greens, Mississippi pot roast, and mac and cheese. All right now. All right
Mhm.
now.
Sounds
And
good.
Connie is also saying hello to us, and she is known as the comeback queen. Kind of cute. So
I,
let's get into this talk. So, first of all,
okay.
I want to ask you, I want to start with just how you ended up in this profession and what did you do before this?
Um, um, I've done a lot of things before this. I ended up in this profession because I went to therapy to deal with some stuff myself. And
Hmm.
quite frankly, it worked. And so I was just so in awe of like the healing and the rapidity with which things were coming off and peeling off. And so I kept sending my friends to the therapist that I saw. I had no intention. The thought never even occurred to me to become a therapist until I was at work. My first career was as a broadcast journalist. So I did television news reporting and anchoring for a while. And then I went into
Do that.
consulting, where I worked for a consulting firm. And so that was my second career. My third career is this, therapy. And then my fourth career was a business woman. I own, Healing the Mind and Spirit, and employ other therapists and interns. And then my fifth is that of an author. But
Yeah.
yeah, the way I got in, the way I got into this is because it worked, and I kept sending people to my therapist. And then one day at work, I was getting my coffee. I had turned on my computer for it to boot up and checked to see how many messages I had. And I went to the kitchen to get some coffee and maybe some breakfast or something. And then a thought came to me, not audibly, but as clear. I mean, it was just such a clear impression. And I don't remember if it was you need to be a therapist or I need you to be a therapist, but whatever
Ooh.
version of that is, I knew that that was from God, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I called my husband and three of my closest friends. And I just shared that, this thought just came to me. What do you make of that? And each one of them said some version of, I can totally see you doing that. Or you would be so good at that. Oh, that feels really right. You should look into that. And so I did.
Mm-hmm.
I applied to Azusa Pacific and got in. And here I am today.
Wow, I love hearing the stories of origin, especially with grown-ups, because there are a lot of kids who go straight out of college, they go straight into the master's program and they become therapists. But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
always so interesting when you hear the journey of someone who has had some seasoning in other
Mhm.
areas and then decides to become a therapist.
Yeah, yeah.
So here's another soror out there. She also pledged me, hey, Sean, listening as I finish cooking. I know you can throw down, Terry.
Hi, Miss
Well,
Terry.
I think, and Terry is coming from Detroit, Michigan. Connie says, my 11-year-old daughter already is very clear about the fact that she should be a therapist. I
Good for
love
her, yeah.
that.
That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
well, I like you, Tracy. I had no intention. Like I said, I didn't even know such a thing existed. But don't you feel like you were always kind of doing it anyway with your friends and
Yeah.
family?
That's why
But
my husband and my friends were like, I could totally see you doing that because each one of them said, that I do that already. And I've always been a good listener and I've always had a love for people and wanting to see people do well, wanting to see people be whole and things like that. And and
Mhm.
and God gave me wisdom in that area to be able to listen and conceptualize what's going on, what's the story underneath the story that the person can't get to on their own. And that's pretty much one of the first things that we do is highlight things that are already there, but for whatever reason, people are having a hard time seeing it. And so, yeah, I
Mhm.
think I've probably been doing that since I was a teenager. But
Yeah.
I knew therapists existed, but I had absolutely no intention of doing that for a living.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember going to therapy when my mother passed, and not right away, which is what also made it, kind of interesting, because I went to a therapist after kind of like losing it at work when someone who one of the customers that I was dealing with at Tiffany, at a major jewelry concern, he said something to me that was unbearable, and I just lost it. And I got the job for one of the reasons one of the things they asked me was, how are you when, people really, get under your skin? We have a very specific population and da da da. And I said, it's like water off a duck's back. I let it roll.
And
But
that's
I
true
could
about
not.
you. That is true
Well,
about you. Yeah.
yes, but this particular day, Tracy, it was getting stuck somewhere in the middle of my back, and I just went there. And I left and I went to my doctor, and she's like, go home. Don't go back to work. And so I was off for 4 months, and they had me
Mm,
go to a therapist, and I wasn't
yeah.
ready. I finessed that lady. Shame on me. I feel so bad now as a therapist.
Well, you
But
have to go when you're ready. Like whenever things have to, I won't say that things have to line up perfectly, but you have to be ready to at least take a look at some things. Like even if you're not ready to accept all that you see, if you can work on one or two things, that's a good thing. And then you just take the journey as it comes.
I love that. Yeah. Because sometimes people do come in and they want to fix it all like right now. And it's like, well,
Hmm.
just slow down. How about we start with this little thing? You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So your practice is called healing mind and spirit. Is that correct?
Healing the mind and spirit.
Okay. So tell us about that. How did you come up with that title?
Well, I wanted to treat the whole person, like our mind is really, a part housed in our soul. Like the Bible
Mm,
talks about the soul and the spirit being two different aspects of the person. But, we as people, we use them interchangeably when they really are two different parts of the same person. And so
mhm,
I wanted people who come here to have a healing experience. And in psychology, like psychology is the study of the soul. It's if you Google it now, you'll find study of behaviors or the mind or human relationships, and it is that as well.
mm.
But the original Greek is the soul. So really,
Yeah.
soul is in place of mind is in place of soul, and your spirit is the part of you that I believe is the most connected to God and the part of you that has the life of God. Like our bodies have the breath of God too, but God breathed it in us. But when I finished and I was going, when I finished with everything and I was opening up my private practice, I had a few names in mind. I don't remember any of the other ones, but Healing the Mind and Spirit was one of the candidates. And I just sent out a blast email to people who were closest to me and asked them to vote. And this one was the
Mm.
one, you know.
That was the winner. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. I did the same thing. And a few people were like, I love it, but it's long, but nobody could think of what I needed to take out. And so I just apologize. I know it's really long, y'all, but I couldn't take out a single word without losing some of what I wanted to say. Connie said, God's wisdom is key. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Well,
absolutely.
Tracy, you operate as a Christian therapist, right?
Hmm. Yes,
And not
I
just a
identify
therapist,
as a
super
Christian
Christian,
therapist.
but yes, absolutely. So, so I want to first, I want to introduce your book. May I?
Yes,
It is
yes.
behind you back there, and we're going to get the link for you all. Tracy just had her book launch party Saturday, and it was lovely. And they got a beautiful cover. Let me see. I never get this. There we go. We kind of zoom in on it. There she is. That's Tracy, curly hair, and it's called Many Voices, One Truth. So, as we talk about, and it says, sifting through competing noise that interferes with the Savior's voice. Ooh, that's rich. That is very rich. So tell me about the birth of the book.
Okay. Well, one of there's one of the reasons I called it that, like the name of that, is because I see people coming in all the time. And, there are these wonderfully beautiful people. They have their lives on straight, but there's just this one area of their life. And you can tell, or I can tell, that they're listening to things, the voices in their head that nullify who they really are. And so one of the
Mhm.
reasons I was passionate about it is because I want people to know the truth of who they are, and the truth of who you are is who God says you are, because he's the one that made you. But the book
Yes.
was birthed because due to a family crisis, one of my baby sisters had a stroke in her late 30s. I went out to take care of her, and so did three of my other sisters. We all were out there, and two of my sisters kind of leaned in to the grief and cried out in the ways they should. And you would think that me being the oldest and me being the therapist, I would have done the same thing. But I just kind of got busy. I got busy, trying to put
Mhm.
social services in place for her, because I knew we were all going to come home. Like, we were all in California and she was in Texas and stuff like that. But in the midst of all of that, I just started feeling this anxiety that I couldn't shake. And what was the cause of the anxiety was, and I didn't know this until I talked to a friend. I'm just going to give you the short version of it. Um, a belief had come up that, when I was younger, my mom had traced a line on my palm and said that I was going to die young. And so for a long
Mhm.
time, I thought I was going to die young. And like, I dealt with that in therapy and, took that to the Lord and, prayed it through, spoke with, older women, wiser women in my life. And I thought I had put that to rest, but apparently it was deep, deep down in there, and it was nagging at
Mhm.
me, and I didn't know why. So because that was nagging at me and I didn't know what was going on, I wanted to go home, because I feel like, God's given me a beautiful life here with my husband who loves me, and,
Mhm.
my two girls. I mean, now I'm a grandmother and I have a son-in-law. So our little family has
Yeah.
grown. But I just felt like I wanted to get back to the safety of, people that, they were my people. I was their person. And then I started feeling guilty because I shouldn't want to go home to my lovely family. I should stay there and help my sister. And the
Mm.
guilt was just so crushing that I started having like suicidal feelings. And I was like, what? Where is this coming from? And so I reached out to a friend of mine because, in my mind, that seemed kind of extreme to all of a sudden be feeling like I don't want to be here, And
Mhm.
so I talked to a friend of mine that I used to share a house with. She and I had gone through a divorce at about the same time. We were both single moms and we rented this house together. And so
Mhm.
she knew my whole story. And when I told her what was going on with me there, she was like, Tracy, this has nothing to do with anything that's happening there. It has more to do with what you believe about yourself. And then she said,
Wow.
you believed for so long that you were going to die young. And I was like, but I dealt with that. And she goes, maybe you did, but maybe it's your sister almost dying young, probably brought up whatever residue, is left
Mhm.
there. So you have to really examine that, and you feeling like you want to die is because of the belief that you think you're evil. Like growing up, I had this one aunt that would tell me I was evil all the time,
Wow.
and I believed it. Like I believed that I would burn in hell. And again, I thought that I had dealt with that as an adult and in my own therapy and, being a disciple of Jesus and all that means, dealing with your stuff. But here I was, all of this was just swimming up to the surface, and I
Mhm.
now know that God in his goodness, where I was in my personal and professional life, I had just taken, because we have to take 2 exams in order to complete our licensure process. And I had just finished the first exam and I was due to take the next one shortly. And so, God was like, you have these things that's in there that needs to come up and be dealt with because, how are you going to help other people that are dealing with things that are deep down in the neurocircuitry of their own brain and deep down in their soul and their hearts? And if you are still, dealing with this. So even though it was a really, really tough time, I see that it was necessary for me to dredge it up. And in dredging it up and thinking about it, the thought came to me, I really need to write a book about belief, because really the voice is
Mm.
the book is titled Many Voices, One Truth, but it really is a book about belief. And the working title
Mhm.
throughout the whole project was Belief Beyond Belief. But then, like working with my agent and, the and stuff like that, I ended up changing it to, because of the content of it. In the book, it talks
Mhm.
about the different voices that people hear. So
Mhm.
thank you, Colin. Yeah.
Yes, Connie said congratulations, and
Thank you.
Latasha says she loves the title, and I do too. Well,
Yeah.
first of all, thank you for sharing and so vulnerably, and I really appreciate that because I think that part of why I like to do Boss Talk is because my guests always bring such rich gems that other people can learn and actually live by. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing
My
that.
pleasure.
And it's
Yeah,
always
thank
interesting to hear the journey. So this book was inside you needing to come out, right? And it was part of your own healing, huh?
Yes, it was definitely.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that.
Well,
So, what are some of the principal themes in the book? Because I must admit I haven't gotten to finish it yet, but I did get started.
okay.
And what do
Yeah.
you feel like? Well, you actually read a really good piece at your book launch party.
hmm
Are you prepared to read a little bit to us tonight?
Sure. Yeah, if you like
Okay.
that. I,
You know
and
what I
sometimes,
would
Sean,
like? Go
I've
ahead.
been doing quite a few of these podcasts for getting the book out there and things like that. And usually when I go live, I offer a contest, and the contest is like if you go on to, like, if you put in your chat like where they could get the book. If you go on Amazon during the show and purchase the book, and then put your confirmation in the chat. Sean Ray at the end of the show, if she has time, you can do it later, Sean Ray, and then just let me know who the winner is. We'll randomly choose a winner, and when you put your confirmation in and Sean Ray chooses your name, you will get a free signed hard copy of the book for you to keep and then give away the one that you bought, or for you to give away as a Christmas gift, and an ebook that I wrote on mindful meditations, as well as an ebook on setting boundaries with your teens that I wrote. And if you're interested, you can have like a 45-minute consultation with me. And so the winner gets all of that. And for those who
Ooh,
don't, if you subscribe to my email list, and I can put that in the chat as well, or have you put that in the chat, Sean Ray, then you will get a free copy of the Mindful Meditations ebook. So anybody that participates can, win something or
ooh,
get
I love
something.
it.
So,
Well, we girl, listen, we love that kind of stuff around here. Okay, so the Amazon author page is right there on the screen, and it's in the chat. write a review. Don't forget that once you get your book. But go to that link and do what she said. Because if you purchase the book today, she will send you a hard copy and you can then give away. So you can gift the other book to
Yeah.
someone. And bonuses, people, we love bonuses. Straight. So you'll get a bonus of Tracy's. Is it meditation? You said.
Mindful Meditations. It's a short little ebook on, stilling the mind and calming yourself. And Fred is asking
Oh,
how he
yes,
could be the
indeed.
winner. And so what you would do, Fred, is go on Amazon, purchase the book, and then put your purchase confirmation in the chat. And then Sean LeRae will randomly choose, from the purchase confirmations in the chat. And then she'll let me know. And my assistant will send you the book. And then we'll send you the 2 ebooks as well.
Ooh, that's a good one, Tracy. I think that might be the best giveaway yet on the show, my girl. I love it. I love it. I do. He said he will purchase the book. All right, and then you gotta get don't mess up the mac and cheese though. I'll go in the part.
Hi, Candy. Well, Candy was
Okay,
at the launch party. Yeah.
but so you don't get to play. Hello, Candy, darling. How are you? Good to see you. Fred says nice. So I love that. So one of the things that I wanted you to talk about, because just based on who I know is on here tonight, we do have a couple of authors. We have Connie, who is the author of the book, and she put it in there because I always ask her what the title is, and
Nice.
I would have asked again tonight. So thank you. It's Post
What a
Divorce
great title.
Warfare.
Oh my
Yes, isn't
God.
it? The ultimate betrayal.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And you'll have to go, everybody out there, and you too, Tracy, you'll have to go to the YouTube page and find Connie's show because it was a great show. So Tracy, I know that you mentioned your agent, and I know that you had your book was shopped around. So tell us about that part, because I know there are many different choices that people make when it comes to their books. And Latasha also has a book called The Dumping Ground, and which I love that
Mm,
title too.
yeah.
Latasha Tracy is the boundaries lady. She's America's emotional wellness expert out of
Nice.
Georgia.
Yeah.
And I met her as she did a training on boundaries, and I was the coordinator. And she sat down and helped me put the um, evaluations in the little booklets. And I just thought she was a participant. And then she said I had to go inside, and I said, "Oh well, the speaker's not here. The presenter's not here yet." And she goes, "No, I'm the presenter." That was awesome. So yeah, I think there are many different routes to go through the process. So tell us about your journey in getting the book published and that sort of thing.
Yeah, there are many different routes. You can do independent publishing where you publish it yourself. And from what I hear, Amazon makes it quite easy, to do that. And then there's the hybrid where you'd have to look it up, but I think it's more like there is a publishing house that helps you with some stuff, but you're also publishing it yourself. So that's the hybrid. And then
Mhm.
traditional publishing is where you shop your book, or either you shop your book around to publishing houses or your agent does. And my agent shopped my book around to lots of different houses. And most of the houses that she shopped it to were interested. But what
Mm.
it what had happened was
So what happened?
nowadays, nowadays, the publishing houses want you to have these huge email subscription lists, like lots and lots of people on email lists. Like they don't even care about like social media as much. They think that if you have a lot of people following you, then those people are more likely to buy your book, which I don't
Mhm.
even know is that true, because authors who do have large email subscription lists, there's hit and miss with that. So anyway, I don't have that. And so they expect you to have like 10, 15,000 people following you on an email list. And, I just don't have that. And so, but there was one that really wanted the book. And she was like, well, if you can just get it to 3,000, I could take it to my, team, my board, and say, hey, we really need to have this book. Let's, but I need to have some numbers to give them. I think that I can talk them into letting you in with 3,000, but I can't talk them into letting you in with 107, which is what I had at the time. And I was like, okay, God, I'm going to try to build up to 3,000. But my agent is awesome. She kept shopping the book around, and then she found a publishing house that was like, we want this book. We don't care how many email subscribers she has.
There you
And
go.
signing, she ended up getting a deal for me, and we signed, and the madness began. Like, we signed in June, and then it was like, doing all this social media stuff, and and stuff like that. So it's been quite a journey. And the publishing house is Winged Publications. They're out of Arizona.
Oh,
They're a
nice.
smaller publishing house. So yeah, so it was just that, like, that's the good thing about having an agent, is that, if you don't have time to be calling and sending query letters and saying, hey, read the
Right.
3 chapters of my book. And the thing about this process that I didn't know until it happened was, you don't have to write a whole book. If it's nonfiction, you have to write a book proposal with either the first 3 chapters or 3 of the chapters. And, the
Mm,
book proposal tells them what the book is about, why it's needed, why, people would buy this book. And, the 3 chapters gives them a feel for you as an author, as a writer, and a feel for what the book is going to be about. And so, yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, because first of all, congratulations, because it's
Thank you.
amazing and awesome that you went through the traditional process and actually won
Mhm.
at that, and in such a
Yeah.
short time.
Yeah.
Fred,
It
put
was
your
done. Let me
confirmation in.
say that
Go ahead.
again.
I'm sorry. No, I'm
Oh,
sorry. Fred said just bought the book. Put the confirmation in. You got to follow the rules. Paste
yeah.
it and copy paste it in the chat. So go ahead. I'm sorry. You were saying something.
No, you were saying something.
Oh, well, I forgot. No, it's just
Oh,
that you really it's really great that that, because you did it pretty quickly, and that is also amazing. So how long do you think it took you to actually write the book?
the idea came to me in 2011, and I just kind of wrote out little notes on, what the book would be about, but I didn't start on it until 2017. And,
Mm,
I would write on it and leave it, write on it and leave it. And then in 2019, I went to a writer's retreat, and it was a retreat in every sense of the word. Because, like, writers' conferences are, you get up at 7, go have breakfast with everybody, and then all of the courses or whatever start at 8, and they go until 5. And it's like a work conference. There's a lot of networking and stuff like that. But this was a retreat, in that it was at a beach. The class starts at 9 a.m. and they're done by 2. So you have the whole morning, to, get
mhm,
prepared for the class. And then you have the whole afternoon and evening to put into practice what you learned and stuff like that. So I went to this retreat, and it was wonderful. And I took away the 2 takeaways. There was a third takeaway, but I can never remember it when I'm asked this question. I'm sure I did, but the 2 takeaways that I took away from that place, from that retreat, was never be away from your project for more than 3 days, because 3 days
Ooh,
turns into 3 weeks, it turns into 3 months and 3 years. And, for some people,
uh,
15 years or whatever. And then have a word count that you submit yourself to every day, 6 days a week. I did
mhm,
5 days a week. And so I would get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, get my coffee, and I would write first. Like, my whole life, I always
mhm,
got up, and first I would read the Bible and pray, and stuff like that. And so I'm one of those that I could be reading the Bible and praying for like an hour or two. And so I was like, well, that's not going to work, because then I'll read and, get lost in whatever it is I'm hanging out with God about, and then never get to the writing. So I started doing the writing first. And,
mhm.
those 1,000 words is not a lot, but it adds up quick.
Mm. Yes,
If you're
indeed.
consistent, if you're not away from your writing for more than 3 days. And so I started writing first, and then doing my quiet time and time of prayer and stuff like that. And I think I wrote the end in August or September of 2021. I posted it on Facebook. So from 2019 of consistent,
Mhm.
daily writing. I'm sure there were times when I, fell off the 3-day wagon or whatever, but for
Mhm.
the 2 years is nothing because I have so many projects that I've never finished. They're just sitting in the drawer somewhere or sitting on an
Sure.
old computer somewhere. And so this was quite a turnaround for me.
I love that. That's good. Yeah, I did a little getaway and I wrote my first chapter. Um,
Okay.
Chantel and I went to Palm Springs.
Mhm.
And let me tell you, it was 117 degrees, so there was nothing that made us want to go outside and go running about. So we were just in that air conditioned writing, and we would write in 2 hour increments, and then we'd take a
Mhm.
break, and then we'd write for 2 more hours, and we wrote the whole weekend. And
Nice.
so I was happy about that, but I gotta share the truth. I haven't written since then. I've read it over and over, and I've read it aloud and I've read it to a couple of people and I've been able to catch some of the, typos or whatever. But there's something that I haven't submitted it to my book
Okay.
coach, and she's also my publisher. So I am going to take a page from your book, literally, and I'm going to just do it. I'm going to send it in. I'll send it in tomorrow morning when I'm sitting around watching
Okay.
the parade. It's ready to go.
And I took extensive notes on that retreat, so I'll send you my notes, and then you can look through and just take whatever little nuggets that
Oh,
you
yeah.
feel like you can apply for yourself and apply that to your
Mhm.
writing routine. And just do
Oh, I
2 or
love
3
that.
of them. Don't even try to, everything sounds great and oh, I'm going to do that, and but when you do that, then you don't do any. So take 2 or
Yeah,
3 that seem to fit for you, and yeah.
absolutely. I love it. I will do that. Terry says, wonderful insight. Absolutely. Hey, Mavis, welcome to Boss Talk, love. She says, awesome, yes. And she's clapping. I love it. So, and Fred put his confirmation number up. He put it in the chat and I just lost it. Here it is.
Yeah, I see it.
So
Yeah.
there it is. All right. So I'm thinking that I think Fred has to be the winner. I'm talking like Medea. Fred, I think you're the winner because you are the first one to actually get her done. So congratulations. And you are going to get a hard copy of the book. So
Mhm.
you'll give that one that you wrote, maybe to your lovely wife, or you guys can read the other one together and you give it to someone else. And you will get Tracy's mindful meditation ebook, and there was another ebook.
Setting boundaries with teens. But I think
Yeah.
Fred, your son is he like 18 or 17 or
Mm,
18?
he's how old is he, Fred?
Oh,
I think he's a little bit younger than that.
because
How old is
Jazz
he,
is
Fred?
18, so he is a little bit younger than Jazz.
Yeah.
So Fred,
Yeah.
you're always done. You're almost done with the teen years, but you can still apply some of the stuff that you'll see in there. And if not, just share it with people that are in your life who are raising teenagers.
Hmm. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That is good. That is good.
So
So Tracy,
Fred, put your email address in the chat for Sean Lorraine and she'll send it to me. And then I'll have Emily reach out to you for your stuff.
that is awesome. So Tracy, you have written this book, you run a business, you are a mom, a wife, and now the most beautiful grandmother ever. I love it. And so tell me, how do you manage those all of those things? What is it for you? And he's 16, by the way. AJ is now 16. And he is so awesome. I just saw him a couple weeks ago. Because Fred retired after 32 years with
Oh,
the
wow. Very good,
Department of
Fred.
Defense Reserves. Yes, indeed. So
Oh,
again, shout out to you. Have you gotten off the couch yet, by the way? Kim showed a funny video of him lying down on the couch. Like she spoke to him in the morning, and then, they sort of did a fast forward, and she came home, and he was in the same spot asleep. It was cute. All right, we have that email. So Fred, I'll get that to Tracy, and
And email
congratulations
me his
again.
address, his physical address, so that I can have Emily send him the book.
Okay, you can text that to me, Fred.
Okay.
We don't want you getting any visitors. Okay, Tracy. So you're going to tell us about, like, what is it that helps you to manage all these things that you do in life?
Yeah, and I think I would probably answer that question differently in each decade of my life. But in this current decade, I think just like having a plan. I think, like I mentioned earlier, I start the day with prayer and reading scripture and things like that. But I do other things like exercise. I do meditate. Like one of my favorite forms of meditation is centering prayer. I talk about centering prayer in the book. And just like if you exercise, you make your muscles strong and toned. If you spend time in the quiet and in silence and in meditation, you make yourself strong and
Mm,
toned, like your spirit, your soul, and whatnot. And so
I
I
love
think
that.
that for me, owning my own business, like I've owned my own business. I went into private practice in 2012, so I've been doing it a while, and I've gotten it to the point where, I can master my schedule. Like I probably see
Mhm.
about 4 clients, maybe 5 clients a day, and my busy days are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and I don't work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I can take all of those hours and do whatever I want with them. Like I
Yeah, I
start
love it.
seeing clients at 1 o'clock typically, and I'm typically done by like 5 or 6, depending on the day. But so I have that whole morning. Like if like I'm going to start writing, like right now there's a push to, publicize this book, but I already have the other one in my head. And so like when I hunker down with that, what the schedule will look like is I will get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock between that time, because I just let
Mhm.
my body wake up. Like I've been waking up early, for so many years that I wake up when I'm done, like when my sleep is
Yeah, when you've
finished.
had enough, right.
I wake up. So, and then I'll just, crank away at it. And usually I'm done. Like if I start at 5, I'm usually done with the writing by 7:30. I could have my time with God, for like an hour or so. And then I go do some exercise. I might come home and do
Mhm.
some housework, or I'll come in early and, write notes, case notes or whatever, or plan for whoever's coming in that day, and, stuff like that. So I think just managing my schedule and having a plan, like I don't face the day willy nilly. I used to in my
Mhm.
20s and even in my 30s too, but I usually have a plan for what it is I want to do. And it just keeps me calm. It keeps anxiety at bay, because
Mhm.
I can be very hard on myself. And so if I, go the whole day and I haven't done, something productive, once upon a time, I would feel like really guilty, and I feel less guilty, but I
Mhm.
do still feel that kind of hanging out in the background. So it's just more peaceful for me to plan. And so
Mhm.
I just plan. I mean, do I have days? I call them mental health days, because when I was an
Yeah,
intern, I worked for an agency that we had mental health days. And it was,
I
if you
love
just wanted to take off because, you've seen a lot of clients and you need to decompress a little bit, you don't have to call in and lie and say you're sick. Just say I'm taking a mental health day. They were paid, and so it was a value at that particular agency and
that.
stuff. So
Mhm.
I still do that. I'll just write in a mental health day and sit in my bed and, eat comfort food and watch cartoons, or, whatever movies. Like right now it's the Christmas season. I'll probably be watching, Miracle on 34th Street, or This
Right.
Christmas with Chris Brown. And,
Yeah.
you know, those are my 2 favorite, Christmas movies. So, I always
Mhm.
kick up with that, and then other Christmas movies. So, yeah.
That's good. I love the discipline. I have read The Disciplined Life about 30 times, and I still have not yet mastered it.
I've read that about, at least 15 times.
Yeah, of course. Of course. It was passed around. But I will say that I am learning the value of what you're talking about, especially for me with ADHD. I always used to think the opposite. I used to think, no, I cannot do that because I have ADHD. And now I'm thinking, no, you must do that
Yeah.
because you have ADHD. And so
Yeah.
it's really I appreciate, your tips. Because now I have to go to bed at 11 o'clock. Now I haven't in the last several days because I have had homework beyond that. But I'm still trying to make that happen. But I'm trying to go to bed at 11. And when I do go to bed at 11, I wake up at 5. And I used to
Okay.
always do that. But I'm one that has always thought I don't need very much sleep. But now I'm seasoned and I know sleep is a gift. So I'm going to try to get
Yeah.
more and more of it. And it's also a healing tool.
Yeah.
And since, just having back surgery and all that, I need to sleep and continue this healing journey. So I definitely took some mental notes, and I will definitely try to implement some of those. Are there any of you out there who can relate to what I'm saying about just kind of not planning? And maybe not, because I know Latasha's on and she's a planner. Uh, I'm guessing T Man is a planner. I know Mavis is. So yeah, it's just me. It's just me right now. But
But you are a planner, Shawn. You're a planner in different other areas. Yeah. Yeah.
yes. Yes.
Mhm.
I will plan a party in a heartbeat. No. No, but I am getting much better. I truly am getting much better. What did Terry say? She said, don't worry so much about being disciplined as the focus should be consistent. Yes, yes. And when you worry, that also takes you away from the very thing that you're trying to focus and concentrate on. So thank you for that, Terry, for sure. Rhonda, yep, she's a planner. I know this about you. It's a must. I'm gonna get there. I love it. So Tracy, you have written this book, and this was like sort of, I guess this will be the one that will be like the baby, your baby, because it's
Yeah.
your start. But are you able to share what the next book might be about?
It's so this book is about listening to the different some of the major voices that compete for your attention. And I use the analogy of the broadcast television networks that I grew up with. We didn't have cable when I was growing up. Cable did exist. I'm not that old, but cable did exist. But we didn't have it. We had ABC, NBC, CBS, and PBS. And so I take that analogy to show that just as you can choose which channels to turn to, which channels to turn off or turn down or turn up, you can also do the
Mhm.
same thing with some of the major players in your head, which are self, Satan, society, and savior. And yes, Jesus does compete. Like some people might say, well, Jesus don't compete. He does. He's trying to get your attention, just like all those other networks are trying to get your attention. But the thing about Christ
Mhm.
is the Bible says he has a still small voice. So the exercises in the book guide you through cultivating that stillness so that you can hear and listen to that still small voice, because God will not force you, like some of the other
Mhm.
clamors in your head. Like the self will, definitely society will, and Satan definitely will, like make all kinds of noise to get
Mhm.
your attention. Whereas, God's just kind of like over there like this, and you just have to figure out how you tune in and choose to, you know.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. I love
Yeah.
that. I always say, I used to say that God used to have to yell and do a dance and everything to get my attention. And over time, I've been like, no, just whisper to me, Daddy. I'm listening.
I'm sure he loves that.
Absolutely. Because, it's really very important. And I think that, starting your day, with that's the only way that I can get started is to start down here somewhere, because I
Yeah.
know I'm gonna rev up really quickly. I
Yeah.
wake
Yeah.
up energetic, you know what I mean? And so I have to take the time to woosah, and I do my mindfulness, and that's been my thing, and I've been trying to help other people do mindfulness, because if I can do it, I know that anybody can do it because I really had a hard time at first. And now I've gotten to the place where it's routine and I can get it done and I can and it just changes. It's like having a great nap, but you can do it in like 5, 10 minutes, folks. So hi Belinda. Belinda says beautiful. Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in, sis. Belinda is she's bi-coastal. She's on the Gulf Coast in Texas. Is Texas on the Gulf Coast right
Yeah.
now? But she lives over here on the West Coast and she's back and forth. And Belinda works with me, and we work together with mental health. She's a nurse, mental health nurse practitioner in working out of my office with Embrace Your Healing.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's it. Yes. So, well, we're winding down. We have about 9 or 10 minutes or so. So, are there any questions out there in with all you boss talkers out there? Does anybody have any questions or comments for Tracy? Because I think she's dropped some gems up in here tonight. And if you haven't purchased that book, please go and get that book right now. You're going to really be glad that you did. Tracy,
Mhm.
is there a part, is there a certain thing in the book that you would love to read for us for a few minutes?
Yeah, on the at the launch party, I read from the chapter on God's voice. And so here I'm going to read from the chapter on Satan's voice, but I'm not going to start at the beginning. I'm just going to start at this kind of like in the middle, and I'll do a couple of
Okay.
pages. Okay.
Okay.
So the reason I'm
Thanks.
using this one, it's when you asked me if I would read tonight, I thought, I asked God, like, yeah, what should I read? And this is what came to me. Okay,
Okay.
so because this is the middle of the chapter. Okay. Because Satan is a being of confusion, the havoc he's been wreaking on a marriage has the couple mired in a bog by the time they come in for therapy. I guess I was talking about marriage right before this.
Mhm.
Again, it may seem impossible to turn around, but it's not. Healing in marriage and other relationships often begins with a change in perspective. The couples the couple needs to be open to seeing the relationship in a different way and have a willingness to stop questioning the legitimacy of their partner's love for them. Oftentimes,
Mhm.
way down deep, they need to stop questioning the legitimacy of who they are and the fact that they deserve to be in a happy marriage. Most problems, when whittled down, will come to what a person believes about themselves. I have a hypothesis that one of Satan's high ranking minions is called Root Spirit. The job of this creature is to convince humankind that they are misled about where they come from and who they are. Root will tell you opposite things about yourself. In fact, whatever it is you are struggling with is probably the exact place you are being attacked because it is the exact place God designed for you to be. If you are called
Mm.
to preach or evangelize, to bring people to God, or if you're called to heal, teach, or counsel people, or counsel to help people grow in their faith, Root will tell you, no, Root will try to stop you. He will lie to you and tell you that you have nothing good to say, that people will laugh at you, that you will not make any sense. If you are called
Mm.
to be a stay at home mom, Root will tell you that you're a terrible mother, maybe that you shouldn't even have had children. Every time you yell at your kids or speak in an impatient manner, Root will tell you that you shouldn't be around those kids, that you will ruin them. If you are called to be a writer, Root will tell you that you are too busy to sit down and write. He will tell you that you have no talent or your writing doesn't make sense. Root will tell
Mhm.
you that you need to be perfect to get anything done. This promotes perfectionism, which promotes anxiety. We live in a fallen world, and all of us are just trying to figure out life one step at a time. In Matthew 5:48, Jesus says, "Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect." Some Christians interpret this to mean perfect as in sinless. Since Romans
Mhm.
3:23 says everyone has sinned and fallen short of God's glory, Jesus couldn't have meant be perfect as in sinless because then the Bible would contradict itself. The word perfect in this verse comes from the Greek word teleos, which, according to Strong's Concordance, means number one, complete in all its parts, number two, full grown, full of age, and three, especially to the completeness of Christian character. Greek
Mm,
philosophers use the word teleos or perfect to mean something being in its intended function. In other words,
wow.
what Jesus was really saying in Matthew 5:48 is to be who God created or intended you to be, created in his image, Genesis 1:27, and the purpose of life's journey as a follower of Christ is to be transformed into his likeness, Second Corinthians 3:18, and that you are predestined to be conformed to his likeness, Romans 8:29. You were created through God's good and perfect will. Sin caused
Mm,
the fall. Transformation is needed to return back to your originally intended design. Turning your attention back to the spirit of root and the idea of perfection, if you do something well and are almost perfect because of talent bestowed upon you by God and because of diligence, root will tell you that you are not perfect. Not only that, he will tell you you should be, but that you are far from it. He will tell you perfection for you isn't even attainable, even though you are considered by your peers to be the best in your field. Most people will believe Root, not the success they receive as evidence and not the opinions of the peers they respect. Root is a sly fellow. He will whisper whatever is needed into your ear to misdirect you from your purpose, your potential, your mission, that thing you were created to do, and most importantly, from the authentic person you were created to be. Root will distract you from your intended function, your teleos. Whatever it is you are, Root will most assuredly tell you you are not. Don't listen to him. Some people don't even know Root's name or that he exists. Root is that voice in your head that immobilizes you. It brings fear where there is none or exaggerates fear to confuse you or throw you off course. It is the lying voice of distraction. It is the voice that says you are someone other than who God created, intended you to be.
Wow. Thank you.
Listen to Root.
Yeah, that is so good. And I couldn't help but think of like there's so many other names that we give that imposter syndrome, all of those kinds of things out here, but it's so real. It is so, so real. And I appreciate you're such a great writer. I really appreciate your sharing that with us. That was a perfect
Thank
space
you.
for tonight, I think. Hey,
Thank you.
Gigi. Gigi says, bravo, love, love, love this. Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in, Miss G. So, Tracy, that I'm just wow. And even what you read the other night, I can't wait to really dig in. I think I will get a chance to do that tomorrow. I finish my homework. But I really love the analogies. I love the reference to scripture. And I just love how smooth and clear it is. It makes you really think about, because what you're talking about, again, we can all like relate to that and how that throws us off. And so I
Yeah.
appreciate the just like, hey, to remember this is what that looks like. Because all of
Yeah.
those things I can so relate to is like, yes. And of course,
Yeah.
as a therapist, people come in and they're really great, but they can't see it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's one of my goals as a therapist is to help people figure out who are you originally intended to be, because I think that that's the biggest source of anxiety when people are trying to be something that they're not, or they're
Yes.
so busy running away from who they've been told they are that they can't live in the space of who they really are, because they're trying to prove to themselves and everyone else that I'm not this, I'm not this. And I struggled with that a long time. Like I struggled with,
Mm.
I'm not this, I'm not this, that it didn't leave any space for me to tune into who I actually was, which is, a woman of God, a healer, a good mother, a fantastic wife.
Ah, come on, girl.
I just heard my husband walking. I just heard my husband walking me off.
Just want to give him a little reminder real quick, right? Hey, Michael.
He said, yes, ma'am.
Shout out to Buzz
So,
Doc. But that's really great. You're right. When I call it stepping into your who you are ness, and that allows
mhm.
you to live in your God-given, God-driven purpose.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we
yeah.
all have one. So
Yes,
I
we
am I'm just I can't wait for this book to just spread all over the place for people to be able to get these gems. What did Connie
yeah.
say? She wants to know how and when did you discover Root in your life? What was your response to the voice of Root? Ooh, that's a good one.
I think I discovered root in my life probably when I was a teenager. I just didn't have a name, for it.
Mm.
Um, like growing up and people would say stuff like, you think you this, you think you, because I was always really smart and just kind of a nerdy kid. And I was really cute, like as a teenager and stuff like that. And so I would,
You're
I
still
would just
really
get a
cute,
lot of
girl.
flack. I would just get a lot of flack and stuff with, about certain things and stuff. But I think as an adult, I discovered Ruth because I've always had a problem with anger. Like I could be the most loving person on the planet, but just don't make me mad. You know what I mean? And stuff. And I would go there but then I would beat myself up about it. I would think that I was a
Mm.
terrible person because I lost my
Mhm.
temper. I would think that I was going to hell because I, had all this anger and like the scriptures in the Bible that talks about the tongue and, woe is he. And I was like, that's me. And, stuff like that. But then I took this assessment, in one of my own therapy sessions. I took this assessment and found out that I'm kind of I don't want to say like how you have all the executive functioning, like emotion control, planning,
Mhm.
organization, strategize, all of the different executive functionings that people have. And when I took the exam, I was okay in all the different areas except emotional control. And it
Oh.
made sense to me. I mean, not that I'm like going off all over the place, you guys, don't worry about that. But when I have, gotten, out there in my anger, in my adult years. But when I learned that, I was able to have compassion on myself and catch myself. Like
Mm.
I could feel it, it bubbling up because I
Mm.
knew that. I would call
Mhm.
myself like names, like, you just, yeah, I'm not gonna say what I'm calling, but it was a big cross for me to bear. And so
Mhm.
that's, when I knew like it is something there, and I learned to have compassion on myself. But having that information that I wasn't developed in the way I needed to be developed in that area, helped me to
Mhm.
catch myself when I was going there and start to heal, in
Yeah.
that process. But roots still will pop up, like in
Oh,
anything
yeah.
that you want to do, like if I get in an argument with my teenager, there's root saying, like, you're a terrible mother. I'm like, I've already raised my kids and they're both well grounded and they're good. So shut up, root.
It's
There
beautiful,
we have
you
our
know?
problems, but get out of my face, and
Yes,
stuff. And
absolutely.
with my writing, like you should already be working on your book proposal. Forget about this publicity. It's not about you. Right on it. Just root is very sly. Like I said, like all of these
Yes.
thoughts in your mind that try to make you feel like you're doing something wrong or you're doing something bad, and
Mhm.
you don't have to talk to Ruth. You just talk to yourself and tell yourself the
Mhm.
truth. No, I am organized. No, I will get to my next book proposal when I'm done promoting this, and stuff
Right.
like that. Or in the middle of promoting this, I'll get to it when I get to it. Just, speak to yourself and tell yourself
Mhm.
the truth in the moment, because it's not really about
And be
being
kind.
positive. Yeah, being positive will help. It'll work, but it'll be short lived unless
Mhm.
you know that positive thing to be the truth. So you have to find the truth and
Yeah.
speak that to yourself.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? I was just thinking about the name that you give it, root. That makes so much sense because it's the root and the core are these
Mm-hmm.
beliefs that we've taken on
Yeah.
that are not ours. And then I also thought about, and if we don't watch out, they will grow. You know
Mm-hmm.
how people,
Well, they
and
become
they
ingrained.
take root.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. What
yeah,
you
the
said?
beliefs. Yeah, beliefs, if they stay around long enough without you addressing them and telling yourself the truth. Like when Jesus said the truth will set you free, he wasn't just talking about the fact that he's the son of God and what he came for. He just meant the truth in general. Sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes we are
Mm,
not well equipped to deal with it, but it's better than a lie, and it can cover over. It covers, like the Bible talks about, love covering over a multitude of sin. I think
multitude of people.
truth covers over a multitude of lies and helps you to make better
Mhm.
choices, because if you allow a belief to stay in your heart long enough, it becomes an agreement. And once it
Mm.
becomes an
Ooh,
agreement,
Tracy. Hold on.
stronghold.
Stop. Hold on.
Mhm.
I always have people repeat those bams. So say that one again, please.
Well, if you have like beliefs about yourself that were handed down to you either from family of origin or just, adult experiences, if you don't deal with it over time, those beliefs become agreements. And the problem
Mm,
with agreements is they become strongholds. And once that happens, then now it's all in the neurocircuitry of your brain, and it's you can
yes.
still overcome it, but it's just super hard. It's just so very hard. So you may as well deal with it at the belief level before it becomes an agreement
Mhm.
and then a stronghold that's, pretty much taking over your life or informing things that in your life that it doesn't need to be informing.
Absolutely. I love that. And we often we blame ourselves for everything, but we don't think about how these things have been rooted in the neural circuitry of our brain, and how the trauma that we've experienced and all of those things take root and live in our bodies. They become a part of our DNA, and we
Yeah,
have to fight against that. What did
yeah,
Gigi say? She says, oftentimes we can feel as though root is our true selves when it's
yeah.
simply a lie that we entertain. Ooh, yes,
Yeah, you're
indeed.
right, Gigi.
That,
And
Gigi.
that's why Jesus says be perfect, but perfect in what I just read, the teleos, your
Mhm,
intended function, because
mhm.
root is not your true self. Your true
Yes,
self
that's
is you are made in God's image. He gave you your personality and all your quirks and traits and all your talents and ambitions. All of that came from God. And so you need to tune into those things because that's who you truly are. And just figure out how to
mhm.
navigate all
I love it. And that's the key, the navigation. Connie
that.
agrees with Gigi, and Rhonda said, I have enjoyed tonight's discussion. Tracy, thank you for sharing your wisdom. Simply beautiful. There are
Mhm.
benefits of keeping God first. Absolutely, Soror.
You're welcome.
And
Thank you.
Connie says, Root knows just what to say that will feed into that area of your life you may not be fully confident in. We thank God
Yeah.
for giving us identity. Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Fred said that was a good one. I know, Fred, wasn't that? I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go back and to the because that just boom resonated when you said it becomes agreements. Wow,
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
powerful. Yeah,
Yeah.
because then you
Yeah.
decide, well, okay, I'm just gonna be that, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I love it. Wow. Well,
They
Tracy,
do.
we
People
are
do know that.
coming to our end. So I want to know what you would like to leave with the boss talkers tonight.
Um, Whether you buy the book or not, I want you to know that, you are loved, you are worthy, and you are who God says you are. It would behoove you to figure out who that is, because a lot of us enter into even our 30s and 40s and even 50s not really knowing, who we are. Like, who am I? Who did God create me to be? Start with the word and then, talk with God about it as if you're talking to a person. Like, I keep something that I call a Jesus journal where I'll write something and then the first thing that comes to my mind, it's from Jesus and I put it in quotes. And I trust that that's between me and God, because before I started doing this, I prayed and asked God to really protect that time in that particular journal and not allow, Satan to masquerade as an angel of light and be saying stuff and pretending like,
Mm.
he's Christ and stuff like that. And so I have faith that that's just a time between me and God. And my stepmom once told me, she said, follow your first mind, because say the enemy is not allowed to speak first. He can speak after God speaks, but it's up to
Ooh.
you to listen to.
Oh
So
my God.
I that's something that I developed. It's between me and God. Feel free to steal it and try it. I highly recommend it. But
Mm.
make sure you pray over it and ask God to protect that time so that you're not, what's the word, deceived or tricked,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I
Mhm.
love that. And that's so funny. You said your aunt said that. My
My
grandmother used
stepmom my
your
stepmom said
stepmom.
that.
My
Mhm.
grandmother used to say, baby girl, follow your first mind, second mind's a devil.
Yeah.
And how many times, even in tiny ways, have we
Mhm.
gotten tripped up because even like on a test, changing the
Oh,
answer,
yeah. Mhm.
you
Yep.
know? And
Yep.
so that was good. That was good. Fred says, now that I'm retired, I can find out who I really am.
No time like the present,
Right?
friend.
I
You can
always
do it
say,
and enjoy yourself at the same time.
yes. I always say, you don't get it till the minute you get it. So it's all good. I love it. And
I love
Terry
that.
Mann
You can do it
says,
till-
don't stop at 50s. It could be 60s and 70s. Amen. Amen. That is so true
Uh-huh.
that
That's
people are
unfortunate,
walking
but yeah, that's true.
confused about who they
Yeah.
are. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
feel like I started to really appreciate who I am in my late 40s, 50s, and then just continuing to get seasoned in the most
Mhm.
wonderful way. And it gets better and better and better.
Yeah.
I love it. Wow. So you guys, Tracy can, well, first of all, let me get your information in the chat so that they can have it. So, um, what do you want to give us first?
I'm on Instagram at Tracy Terrace, TracyTaris. And I'm at Instagram for my private practice at Healing the Mind and Spirit, spelled out. My website,
Oh,
www. Okay, the
the
Mind and
mind.
Spirit
And is it
for Instagram.
AND spirit and
A-N-D.
spirit?
Yeah, and then my
Masculinity.
website for my email subscription list is tracyterrace.com. And then you can just go to the subscribe button. And when you join, you'll get the free ebook meditations that Fred is going to get for winning the book.
Okay. So now you
But
say
just
go to
that, that's when you'll get
tracyterrace.com
there.
and go to where? Where do they go first?
Subscription. Just hit the
Okay.
subscription tab and or subscribe tab, and then you can be subscribed to my email. And yeah, please follow me on those things. If you live in California and you want some therapy, we have a whole group of therapists here. My website is healingthemindandspirit.com. All of our therapists' bios are listed there. You can look at them all and see who you connect with, and then call our front desk, and Emily will pair you with the appropriate therapist. And if you're in the state of California, we also provide telehealth. So you don't have to, if you live here in Southern California, you can come into the office, but we're all licensed just here in California. So we could do telehealth or in person.
Yes. And what was the healing mind and mind and spirit? What's the website?
www.healingthemindandspirit.com. And then you would go to the either staff tab or team tab and see all the therapists that you can choose from. I'm one of them, but there's lots of others. We have 2 guys and the rest are women.
All right. Meet
All of us are
the
Christian therapists, but
therapist.
some identify as therapists who are Christian. And then one guy's a
Right.
Jewish guy. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wonderful. So so there you have it. I at Instagram, Tracy has 2 pages. One is at Tracy Terrace, and then also at Healing the Mind and Spirit. There are no spaces as I typed there, so you all know how to do that. That's her business Instagram, and then go to tracyterrace.com, go to the subscribe and get on the email list. And these notes will be here for y'all. And then her website is www.healingthemindandspirit.com, and you go to the staff page and meet the therapists. So Tracy, this has been wonderful. I'm so happy that we got to do this. I'm so just thrilled for you and so proud of all that you're doing. It's amazing. And just the world needs to hear from you. So keep dropping gems, girl.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed being here.
Thank you so much. So Boss Talkers, happy Thanksgiving. Please go and enjoy your families and, keep cooking, Fred. And just find one thing that you're grateful for. I mean, there are so many, but just be sure to give thanks and gratitude, and let's not get caught up in waiting for Black Friday to happen. But I know the Boss Talkers don't behave that way. So sending y'all lots of love and Thank you and happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Gigi.
Happy
And
Thanksgiving,
so,
everyone.
yes. And so we'll be back next week on Wednesday at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. If you're in another time zone, do the math. We love you. And remember, this is Boss Talk, and that's bold, one of a kind, sensational superstars. And that's you. Peace, y'all. Thank you, Fred. Mwah. Hug Kimmy for me. Good night, y'all.